Hello, welcome everybody. I am Nikki and this is RTB, your Resilience Toolbox. I'm very pleased on our episode today to have Davin Smith with us. Davin is a high school pupil from here in Cape Town, and I met him during a leadership and communication workshop that was conducted last year at his school. That was called Youth Toastmasters. And I was particularly inspired by Davin because of his amazing energy, his bounce, his positive vibe, and also his great ability to get vulnerable and to be able to share some of the really quite tough things that he's gone through in his life. And welcome to you, Davin. Thank you for joining us.
So, what's up, guys? My name is Davin. I'm also known as the one and only Big Dave 679. That's my stage name. I've done a few podcasts, so maybe you've heard of me there. I would like to be a psychologist, a radio host, and hopefully a horse racing commentator in the future.
That's brilliant. Cool. Thank you so much, Davin. So, I've heard you talk before, and I've heard about some of the really challenging issues and things that you've gone through in your life, and in particular, you've shared what you've learned, how you've come through, and I'm very inspired by your interest in sharing and helping others. So to start our conversation, I'm going to hand the floor over to you so that you can share your thoughts and ideas with us and set the scene for our resilience conversation.
So, for me, resilience is kind of something that you learn in obscure moments in your life. It's kind of something you pick up when life just throws obstacles at you, like people or just general challenges that you thought you could have been immune to. I think that's moments in your life where you realize this is where you're going to have to become stronger than all of the challenges that you faced before. As you said, I've been through a lot in my life. I've smoked probably everything under the sun that you can think of. I drank. I know a lot of people who've been through similar things. I've got friends who drink nail polish. I've got friends that drink alcohol, smoke. Friends that have turned to suicide. I would have lost 3 this year, to be honest. And I'm glad to be here because the biggest thing I think that you can find in resilience is that people change people. And it's quite funny because every person that comes into your life influences you in a specific way. Funnily enough, the most vulnerable moments in your life actually shows you who to be. When I was down, I didn't know what to do. And I found that these 3 things actually helped me a lot, which is purpose, perseverance, and accountability. For purpose, I realized that I have to find a goal to keep pushing me forward, to keep motivating me to move away from me drinking, from me smoking, from me doing all of these stupid things that I didn't need to do, because there is a way of bringing yourself back up in low moments. So once you find your goal, once you have a common reason for you to move forward, to move on in life, I feel like that is the key to you just persevering, which is the second thing you need to do to keep moving forward. Once you move forward, there's no turning back. Because if you turn back, you're going to be digging yourself a bigger grave than what you were already in. And the last thing that actually helped me was accountability. I spoke to a psychologist and I spoke to my mom and my friends, and I entrusted them with all of this information. And I held them accountable to not say anything or to judge me from the actions that I did. But at the same time, they held me accountable not to make the same mistakes. And I think that's what helped, because now I had a reason also not to turn back. I guess that's what really helped me through all of my challenges. I think purpose is the reason that you will become a different person than you were yesterday, because that's the reason you wake up in the morning. That's the reason you strive forward. Purpose is the reason you're not going to turn back. And the last thing that I would actually like to say is accept the past for what it was. It's brought you to this point in your life where you don't want to turn back. This is the person that I am today. And I can honestly say I've messed up. I've hurt people, but I've become a much stronger and better person than I was yesterday because now I have a purpose.
Wow. Thank you very much for sharing that, Davin. You definitely sound like you've put a lot of time into thinking about these issues, these situations that you've gone through, and what you've learned from it. What was that turning moment for you? And so what was happening before, and what was that defining moment that made you realize that you wanted to change?
About a year and a half ago, I went on camp, and my friend and I tried a small drug which we thought was completely harmless. And a week later, I found that he was hooked 10 times worse than what we did. And it was quite sad because I saw how his health was deteriorating, his marks was dropping, and he was pushing away the people that cared about him and tried to help him. And I didn't want to do that. It was not a road I wanted to go down. It was something I never even thought of, and that was basically my turning point. Realizing I cannot do the same things that my friend is currently doing, because then it's then people are starting to define me. People are not going to realize who the real me is because I'm letting something so small control my life, and that was my turning point.
And your friend now, is his situation improved, or is he still struggling?
His situation has improved. I kind of told the psychologist about the situation. I know he entrusted me, but I couldn't see my friend going through the same route. So his drug situation has dropped. He's clean, and the psychologist helped him put him on the right track again.
Tell me, are you seeing this situation play out for other youth? You did mention earlier that you've got friends who drink nail polish, and the number of friends who've committed suicide this year. So is this common? Are kids, your age and younger, really struggling? And what are the main causes, do you think? Is there any particular issue that, or is it just a wide range of issues that people are struggling with?
For me, it's specifically two reasons. So the one, you're either going to be, what's the word I can use? You yourself just want to experiment. So you yourself want to see why others are telling you don't do drugs, or why others are smoking in the first place, or drinking, or doing whatever it is. So you yourself are going to put yourself in the situation and try it. Or the second thing is you not feeling loved and you being neglected by the people that care about you, or you thought they care about you but they don't, and you don't know how to handle that. Because um, the one thing which I got taught was that people have a fear of being forgotten. And if you don't have people around you, and these people don't love and care about you, you feel alone. You don't know
Mhm.
what to do. So the only way that you're going to get out is turning to all of these things, whether it's drugs, nail polish, alcohol, small things, even medication.
And why do you think people are feeling so lonely these days?
Sometimes I feel like people don't try and put themselves out there much more. It is hard, but you have nothing to lose. Either that, or it's a chain cycle where someone has never been loved before, so they don't know how to give that love in return or hope in return. So the cycle just continues, and no one knows what to do with it.
That feels really heartbreaking, but it sounds like it's it's not uncommon. What other approaches are you seeing out there? So they're turning to drugs, they're turning to self-harm. Do you think youth know where to go and get help?
You have to have a turning point in your life. That's the first reason where you can actually understand that now you need help. Because if you don't get there, you're going to continue a cycle. It will always happen that way. For me, my point was with my friend, and then I turned to a psychologist. I then also spoke to my mother because these are people that I trusted. I feel like
Mm,
if you speak to people that you can trust, then that's some way of trying to get yourself back on track. If you can try and get assistance from people who know what to do and
mm.
accept that you've made, then I feel like that's a way of stopping the bad habits that you are currently doing.
What's your advice? How do you suggest, if it's not immediately obvious, how would you suggest to other young people to find those people who can become those accountability support system for them?
Something that worked for me was when I was with my friends, obviously start talking and communicating. And there will come a point where someone will share their story, and then someone else will also share their story. And when people start slowly becoming vulnerable and other people are becoming vulnerable as well, you're breaking down a small wall and you're allowing people in. And once you realize that you are not alone in certain situations, you realize that you can start trusting these people because they are starting to become there for you. They're listening
Mm.
to you, they want to help you in whatever way they can.
As you started sharing with your friends, did you also find that others were going through similar things? That you, in fact, weren't alone, that you weren't unique as such with these challenges that you were having?
I did, and it's quite ironic because I was happy. It's quite sad because other people are going through the same thing, but you realize you're not alone. So when you
Mm,
realize you're not alone and both of you need help, then both of you can hold each other accountable to get the help that you need to put yourself
mm,
back on track.
mm,
And that's quite it's quite an amazing feeling realizing that it's not just you, because there's a lot of things going on in your life. It's just that you don't know what to do. So once you
mm.
realize there's people going through the same thing and they need help as well, you can kind of go through it together.
I think that's such an important thing to learn at a young age, that yeah, the more you're able to share and share, spot the right people, share with the right people, you realize that you're not the only one going around and around and around with these issues in your head, that others are having that as well.
Sometimes it is intimidating because vulnerability is something that not a lot of people like doing. It's definitely not something I like doing. But if I know it's going to help the next person, I'm prepared to do it because I know what it's like to go through so many things in your life, and you need other people to realize it's okay. Vulnerability is okay, and there is a way out of the situation. We just need to
Mm.
find you the correct help.
Mm. So that brings on to your purpose as well. And you spoke about that as being what the keys to survival, and finding that. So you've just said that now, that vulnerability isn't easy, but when you know it's going to help the next person, it makes it easier for you, because in fact you're not focusing so much on yourself anymore, you're focusing on other people. So finding your purpose. So talk to me about you finding your purpose. And I'm always interested, does your purpose stay exactly the same? Does it change a little bit as you are going through your months and years and your life? Um, yeah, talk to me a bit about your purpose.
My purpose was not being the same person. I didn't want to be the same person as my friend. So that was me moving forward. Sometimes there can be different reasons that comes in as well. I don't neglect the main sole purpose of me not going back to smoking and drinking and neglecting all of my friends. That's my main purpose. Sometimes smaller reasons comes into my life as well, whether it be school, your work, your family, your friends. It can be small symptoms your mom will tell you to do, or your friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. It's just smaller things, but I feel like the main reason you're going to get up in the morning is what's my driving purpose to be a better person than I was before.
Mm.
And sometimes your purpose does go off track because sometimes, everyone has the off day. But I mean, you get up, you learn from your mistakes, you move on. That's how you're going to learn. If you've never made a mistake in your life, then have you really made anything at all? Because how else are you going to move forward? How else are you going to learn?
Mm.
So once you do that, and you get up and you realize you need to be better than you were, then you're starting to find your purpose.
You're connecting your purpose to being able to accept failure or mistakes, because you're seeing it as in the same trajectory, aren't you? So if you haven't made mistakes, then you're not learning and you're not growing forward in relation to your purpose. And that, I think that is great. Many people are petrified of making mistakes. This word failure has emotion, negative emotion attached to it.
I think failure, when you yourself fail, other people are quick to judge because they're not in your shoes. They don't understand what you're going through. They don't realize the mistakes that you've made. You realize you've messed up. It's your way of saying, okay, I'm going to find a different way. I'm going to find a different approach. That's you keeping and going forward. And when people realize that you're trying, you're actually genuinely trying. You didn't mean to hurt anyone. You didn't mean to mess up. It just happened. So now you're going to try again and you're going to improve. And I think people need to learn that because not everyone is in your shoes.
Mm, that's really important. That's empathy, isn't it? It's a little bit connected with sharing. So the more that you share, the more that you can encourage others to be able to see your perspective or be able to put on your shoes.
The more you do share, the more you realize that if you've been through all of these things and you share your story, other people can eventually, they don't necessarily have to come out with what they're going through, but they can realize there is a way of solving everything they're going through and they can get help and that they're not alone. They're definitely not alone.
Well, that is a beautiful way for us to start wrapping up this conversation. I want to bring us and remind us about the resilience tools that you've brought to us through this conversation. You have suggested that finding your purpose is really important. And you've also explained that there's maybe one general, I want to be a better person than I was yesterday. I love that. And then smaller purposes come and go, but still it's thinking about your purpose and your action, your belief, your purpose for that day, that moment, that activity. And then you spoke about perseverance in moving towards that purpose, whatever it is, if it's the bigger purpose or smaller goals that you want, but that perseverance and working through failure but still going forward, and then failing a bit and going forward, and that's exactly what it is, but to persevere and keep going, because knowing that failure, difficulties, mistakes, always, they do happen, it's inevitable, but we need to pick ourselves up and still move. So that was brilliant. Love that. And then you spoke about accountability partners, finding the right people, and learning and practicing sharing and being okay with being vulnerable, but it gets easier and easier. So finding those people that you can share with, and then they can help you get through your whatever your situation is that you are struggling with. So I really appreciate those 3 tools that you've added to our toolbox. And thank you very much, Davin, for sharing your story and for being vulnerable. I think
Thank
that's,
you for having me.
yeah. Is there anything that you want to add just before we close up?
I just want to thank you for having me. I just want people to know that whatever they're going through, there is an answer. They can get out of whatever they're going through. It may seem tough now, but in the future, it definitely will get better. When I was going through my situations, I thought, "Ugh, this is the end. I can't get up from here." But I have, and you can too. So just remember that.
That is wonderful. Thank you very much. That is the end of our episode for today. Thank you for sharing your tools with us, and to the listeners, tools in the toolbox, if they're not used, they go rusty. So think about what has been shared today and see if anything fits with you. Try it on and see if it starts making a difference to your life. Thank you very much, Davin. Thank you to the listeners. I look forward to seeing you again and meeting you all in RTB, our Resilience Toolbox. Bye.